not you're just hitting a button, just saying you're alive is actually going to execute the life spell.
I don't think so.
We are beyond the resuscitation of YouTube.
I'm fairly certain we're just mostly dead. That doesn't mean slightly alive. But we're
dead.
Mostly dead.
We're mostly dead.
With cocktails.
Because, wow, what a week.
And we are finally having our fluffy ruffles.
Yes. And all three of us are in the same spot.
Yes.
We're in the same spot.
For the first time in
months.
It's been...
What was the last time we were all together?
I don't remember.
April?
I think it was April because I left in May.
Yeah, it was just after Fool's Con because you went to Italy.
I went to Italy, and then I got back, and you went to Washington.
No, I was in Washington.
You were in Washington when I was in Italy.
And I went to Denver.
I went to Denver.
Then she went to Denver.
It was supposed to be a quick trip and ended up being a week and a half longer than it's supposed to be.
So, but we're all here.
I came back just in time to go to Libertycon.
Yeah, we were supposed to have live last week, but we were all packing for Libertycon. It was hot and sweaty and sticky, and we were like, no, you can't do this.
No.
Just no. So we thought we'd talk to you back.
There was no brain left. So we're here.
I don't know if there's any brain back.
Well,
I'm glad you made it.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, I don't know if we've actually made it here. So
I have a drink, which is not the first I've managed in the last year, but
You weren't allowed to drink until just recently.
Yeah, I was allowed to have my first drink last Friday, actually. So,
yeah.
And I managed one.
Making up for lost time.
I'm making up for lost time. I managed a drink at Libertycon. There may have been two, but it was a little nuts.
I wasn't with you all, but I did have a glass of wine.
You earned it.
So first up, why don't we just Cedar let you fill everybody in on how Sanford's doing?
Sanford is doing much better than we expected. So the last thing that we've been told in the hospital was really worrisome, and frankly, he's been extremely tired and just very, very low key and not himself. And that was both, I figured, from the heart itself, and also had been told in the hospital that his heart wasn't moving well. Well, when we went to see the cardiologist today, he read the echocardiogram and told us that the heart is actually doing much better than we were told in the hospital. So he has been cleared to, and in fact commanded by a little old Italian doctor, 2 inches shorter than I am, and with an accent you can cut with a knife. Delightfully old school. But he has been told that he has to start exercising now, at least 3 times a day, 5-minute walks. And we'll be seeing him again in a couple of weeks. And we'll also be seeing another doctor in a couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll start to get an even better picture. But for right now, it looks like we are on the right path to recovery. And it was not a good event. The hospital itself, getting into the ER, was more than a little frightening. And then even when they let him come home, what they were telling us was not cheerful. So,
because it wasn't. It
was a very serious event, and this is really good news, and I'm very happy about it. But it is still, I'm treating it very seriously, and so my poor dear husband is going to have to put up with a bossy wife for a while.
Because, oh darn!
Oh no!
Because I'm going to make him behave and do what he's supposed to do.
Carlton, some of which brought us our glasses as we speak.
Thank you so much.
We have Carlton to thank for the
Yes, he
Carlton brought us a box.
Oh, thank you, Carlton.
A box full.
It's lovely.
Some snacks and everything. Yeah. And wow.
Some of it made it to some of the room parties that we were invited
we did manage to take it to room parties and things, which was great. Yes. So,
but some of it came home because that's the con tradition.
That's usually what happens.
we ended up coming home with twice as much alcohol as we're left with, and not all the same alcohol.
And it all didn't come from Carlton either. So
yes.
So it very much appreciated. Very much appreciated.
Very much.
That was like, he walks stories. I walks alcohol at Libertycon and to the craft room, and I'm like, gets a box. And Carlton, so here you go, was ever so nice about it, and dropped it off at the craft room, and wandered off, and then Lana came back in through, and I said, box. And he's like, what's in the box? I said, I don't know. So we started going through it, and the Bombay Bramble just kind of disappeared.
because Ian.
Because
it's
So I keep that one in my.
Okay, fine.
I keep the
Still
Bombay
really
Bramble in my cupboard because it's just so nice
It's lovely.
and it's so easy to mix up quickly into very nice things.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sanford has been told he's not supposed to have alcohol for a while because his liver's processing a bunch of crap. But that means that I can come and have an adult beverage.
Have a drink with the girls.
Yes.
Have a drink with the moms because we're happy that you have.
And
So,
the psychological lift being important, absolutely. And I have to say that the flood of support online for us during all of this was way more than I expected, and I don't think I responded a whole lot to any of it because I have no spoons. But it kept me cheered up when what I was being told was just really hard here. So yes, the psychological lift of just people saying nice things has been a huge help. So thank you.
well, and that continued into Libertycon. So
Yeah, Libertycon was radio silence. Other than postcards, I didn't hear anything from anybody.
We tried.
Oh,
I tried. I
Well, I know. I knew you guys were busy, so
they were very much, they were coming, you know, it was,
You guys were
I'd been
there.
posting stuff from hospital and everything. People were coming. I wanted to like record the update on Stanford, put it on my phone and just hold it up and click. It's about 80 times I did the rundown. But what was really lovely is that so many people were concerned. And it was so many people pitched in to sell stuff off the table because we took all of her books. We didn't tell her we were taking all of them.
yeah, I didn't know
dropped off
about
this-
any of this.
Your son dropped off this like little box. I'm like, oh
Like,
no.
Oh no.
It was the last of the stuff that had wound up at my house because most of it was kept
So
here.
we keep it here.
So
We had a table for you twice, and people were coming by, and we were able to give the reports. And everyone helped out setting up the tables and doing stuff. And have been doing the Dolly Parton science fiction. Incredibly nice woman who does wonderful
I'm
things
gonna
for
have
so
to
many
enhance
people.
the chest there.
Well, and it's that you do not mess with Cedar. So it was really fun to see that level of response.
Yeah.
And that level of concern. So
Well, I just figured you guys were busy because this was the Rack Press first
Oh.
real year at Libertycon. So
I don't think busy accurately describes the Libertycon experience for this year.
So my intention was I had my camera and I was going to go and
Libertycon after action
Yeah.
report.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
was going to go and do like 30-second interviews. Who are you? What do you write? You know, why do we love you? And I never made it past taking the first picture.
No.
Because people kept asking me questions and coming and meeting me. And it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm getting text message. We have a meeting now. I'm like, oh great, gotta go. And I'm talking to someone on the way that I have to talk to, and just constant.
we were not expecting. I mean, granted, there's a lot of energy around Racketeer Press and Three Moms of the Apocalypse, and this is a new press and we're doing a lot of cool things. But when we got there, it was like the moment we walked in the door, Ian and thank God for Sarah both being there too.
Yeah.
But Ian and Kortnee and I were just like instantly deluged. And it was odd, and a very odd feel to it. Like all of a sudden, these people are in our face, and it wasn't just. But it wasn't a bad thing. But it was like we expected that we would. We had a bunch of authors there that we were really looking forward to seeing. And I was in the craft room, so I was stationary, or so I thought. Because the craft room was right off the main author's alley on top of the mezzanine. So it was like, hey, drop by and say hello. You know? And a bunch of our authors showed up. Yay, you guys totally rock.
You guys are awesome.
And we're like instantly offering to help. I mean, we had fabulous people, but at the same time, we had a bunch of people show up we had a bunch of people show up who were very interested in talking to us about business. Nancy says we're distorted and low res. I think that may be part of the computer issue. Sound is not having a good day. Maybe we should turn the thing on the back just to make sure.
Yep.
Turn it so it gets the whole.
We're using the guy's.
Yeah.
So we're gonna fix it.
We're good.
All right. Now we need you to tell us if that's better.
Yeah, that may make it better. So we had person after person after person come to me, and person after person come to Laudon and Kortnee, and we ended up kind of taking on different roles. But we suddenly had to have lots of meetings with lots of people, which was not fun.
And some meetings that we knew we were going to have.
Yeah.
And some that, we had an idea at Fanside, and we're going to develop it. Like, well, next time we see each other, we'll develop it with Libertycon. Okay, great. Talked about it at Libertycon. And then some people who had been kind of watching us for a while, just kind of
from a distance, they were checking us out, kind of thing.
And they decided that Libertycon was the time to approach.
Well, more than a few people felt that way.
Yeah.
And it ended up that people we did not anticipate decided that they wanted to be involved with the press. And we were okay with that. Our 4 meetings turned into something like 15.
Yeah.
And so we were nonstop running. I mean, Kortnee and I both had 18-hour days on Friday and Saturday. We did not expect to be sitting in on a Ride Your Dojo episode for Ride Press.
Not at all.
But there we were.
I hear that was good. I heard they were going to interview Laudon. Okay, interviewing Laudon's a natural thing because they've known Larry forever.
But we also know Ian and know he will say things and get us in trouble.
Right.
So we kind of insisted on a chaperone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was like, "You need to be there anyway because there's stuff I don't know." Because I mean, his thing is stand out front with Freddie, but which is an incredibly valuable job. People don't realize how hard it is for him.
It's a lot of effort.
It's a ton of effort for him because he's doing a lot of he sets the standards for us, and but also he was walking stabby.
A little bit.
No. There was conversation on Facebook, and it was decided that next year he needs a handler to follow him around and pass him booze.
Mm-hmm.
So someone volunteered a flask in the comments. So
yes, so so I ended up constantly getting pulled out of the craft room into discussions, and Kortnee was off. I didn't see her, but I know she was doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, part of it was I was on some of the panels I was on.
Oh yeah, we should talk about the panels.
I was on the newbie panel, which is great. And Richard prompted me. He's like, "So, what about Kortnee's doing the postcard anthology?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we talked about the postcard anthology."
Oh, you might want to tell what the newbie anthology, the newbie panel is.
So the newbie panel, they did 3 of them this year, where it's your first time as an attending professional at Libertycon,
or somebody they missed that they needed to get.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was on the first one this year, and the second one was half of our authors, one of which was Steve Diamond.
Which was great.
It was wonderful. I'm like, okay, I'll have my authors around this one. I have to go give everybody stickers. Which I was swinging my authors to get everybody else stickers. And I was on what's the status of self-publishing and the status of indie publishing panel this year?
The status of independent publishing,
publishing.
yes, which was a 2-hour panel.
The 2-hour panel, but I was scheduled for another panel in the middle of that panel that I had volunteered for, which was Amazon ads and keywords.
But you are genius at.
Thank you. Everybody on the panel was taking notes when I talked, so I mean, I think I did something right. So I ended up having a bunch of discussions on. If people were asking me details about stuff I mentioned during the panels, and how to do this, how do you do this, how do you work on this, how do you write this, and
Matt Skaggs says he loved that panel.
Oh man, it was so good to meet you.
Was it good? Okay,
it was so great to actually meet you in person.
Yes, I'm glad you liked the panel because I always know I have something valuable to contribute. I occasionally wonder if what I was contributing was that were
Yeah,
there.
yeah. You wonder.
So,
you wonder sometimes, was
um,
that enough? I mean, did it? Yeah.
So give it the coherency that it needed.
The Amazon ads was a fire hose of information, and I talked really fast in the attempt to get out as much information as possible in the time that we had, because we did not have
We had an
enough
hour,
time.
which is not enough time.
No,
So I'm hearing video series,
Yeah.
Kortnee talking about
That's
Amazon
that's a
ads.
conclusion we have at the end of all of this. So yeah.
yeah. So the Indie 101, Baby Writer 101, I think is what we're calling it right now.
Yeah.
Of what you need to know to do your next stuff, and keywords are, and not just ads keywords, but just keywords in general are so critical to everything we do. And most people get those wrong, or at least don't know how to get them right. Because when I first started indie publishing, you guarded your keywords with your life. You did not tell another soul about what you were using in your search for people to find you in their search, which was stupid. Because because he's like, you don't. It was really rude to ask people what their keywords were, because if they were doing really well and they had, people figure out how to reverse engineer it. But that's really dumb. Like if you are selling well, you want other people to be selling well as well. So you should be telling them this is how people are finding me.
Because it pulls more people to those keywords.
Exactly. Whereas it was a closely guarded secret. As no, this is my secret. This is the only. I don't tell people about this because I don't want somebody else to know it, and I don't want them to take away my sales. And that's
But they don't take away your
They
sales.
don't
They
take-
just bring more to you.
exactly
And see, that's the thing, is thinking that the pie is only a pie,
right.
when in fact it's a pie case.
Yes,
And the more pies you put out,
Mhm.
the more people come to the case,
exactly.
and the more people eat the pie.
So
And do you know how many variations on apple pie are possible?
Yeah.
So
So-
that's basically it.
Yes,
Yeah.
like there's a very interesting split in publishing. I've noticed there's those publishers who are very generous with their information, and those who are not.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's only one pie. Pies are infinite. So anyway, so we had that panel.
So we had that panel,
Uh-huh.
which was great and brilliant, and I really, really hope people caught the information that I've given out. May have a couple clients coming out of it too, which is cool. Because yes, I can be purchased. I'm not cheap, but my
She can be bought.
I can be bought. And that was a lot of fun. But I had a lot of people stopping and asking me questions.
Yeah.
After that, and about the state of self-publishing.
Yeah, because that was a long panel with a ton of information, of which James Young got to be your stand-in.
Cool.
Everyone kept complaining that the emergency hologram needed to have its visuals fixed.
He was not a redhead.
He was not a redhead. He was very clearly
Not even
not
close.
Cedar. But he's a lovely, wonderful man who's utterly brilliant. And
Yes.
it's just so
And I was
terrific.
so appreciative to him volunteering to step in and be
Yes.
the emergency
And
holographic
then-
Cedar.
And then we got him into even more trouble. This man has learned not to stand or sit next to us. He has a history of every time he comes to an event. I'm not sure what to do about the audio, but we'll keep talking at it. I keep turning away, which is not helping. But yeah, so James is learning that he might as well just give up and join in. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So he has bowed to the inevitable, and we'll be announcing stuff from him later.
Yeah. So I didn't actually have any panels this year because I was supposedly renting the craft room, which I didn't manage to stay in very much.
I was going to ask about paper airplanes, but it sounds like
You know,
that
it didn't
happen.
actually happen,
Darn.
which is okay.
Yeah.
Although James Sharp, who was in the room with me, I pulled out the book and he was like, "I had that book. That's something I got in trouble in 3rd grade because of that book." So, and the craft was fun because we were doing mini painting, but they'd moved us. So people were having a hard time finding us, which was kind of sad.
Because they like the hallway was blocked off.
The hallway was blocked by ads from to either side. So, and a lot of what we wanted to accomplish there we did, and we talked with the convention about we needed signage, which they didn't give us any of. But they recognize now that they need to do that for next year, and we're okay. And the room was a good size. Plus, it was handy since I was playing it that everybody could draw the books with me, and we just pop out and put the books out.
That was super helpful.
It was super helpful. But I also ended up being pulled out to go
deal with the square stuff.
well, square stuff for the tables, and I was pulled out for. I need to talk to you about this. When Jack Wilder walks in and says, "Jonna, can we have a quick meeting?" Go.
Yes, you do.
And so, for those of you who don't know, Jack Wilder does all of Monster Hunter International swag. Larry is now head of marketing for Bait Books. So, and we have things to talk about. So we went and talked about them.
And so he is a wonderful, wonderful person.
Plus, he's fun.
Yeah.
I am sorry that I didn't get to spend time. Well, there was a bunch of people at Libertycon I really wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I'm very sad I didn't, but I needed to be here, and I will continue to need to be here for some time. So I'm probably not going to be attending cons for a while. So
Yes, Matt
I
Jack
get to
rocks.
be I get to be the stay-at-home mom and support from distance, which is useful for things like postcards.
Well, yeah, because part of the problem too is we're writing postcards, and Kortnee and I can't get near a computer.
No, and I think you guys sent out a couple of images, but
I did.
and most of it was on me, which was fine because I was perched and ready to go.
You got to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had people approach me in people.
I
were
had people,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, like they were like they'd send it to me while I was the 2 panels I attended. Can I get a postcard from you? Oh, yeah, sure. And I sent it to them from there.
And what I was doing too is people were saying, "Can I get a postcard?" Standing in the hallway, and I said, "You know what? Email Cedar so she can feel more involved." And they're like, "Oh!" And off they went. I was like, "Hey," because I didn't get their computer. So
and that's the thing is that doing the digital images works so much better on several levels.
yeah,
And because I was home, I was right there to be able to shoot them out.
yeah.
And of course, I was dealing with other stuff too.
Oh, no, just little things, you know.
But yeah, mostly I was able to be right on top of postcard requests and to make sure that when they were coming, although I do need to find out from you how to set up an autoresponder because I was like,
Right.
"Hey,
Oh my gosh, I meant just I usually have one set up just so like people start sending their stuff in and it goes back out, and I just
So we
and I
also,
wasn't about to ask during the conference. So.
I appreciate that.
we also had our very first Raconteur Press panel, State of Raconteur Press, which was a Sunday morning, so the State of Raconteur Press was hung over.
But
we were up very late. We did a Writer Dojo episode from 10:30 till almost 11:30 at night. And then we had promised Hillbilly we would come by the party because we sent everybody there. We were partnering with Hillbilly and Three Ravens Press because they're doing such great stuff and we love them.
Yeah.
So, but we were like, people were like, "Are you coming?" He's like, "Where's Writer Dojo? How do we say no?"
And then we had to have a meeting with Jack, and then we
We
had
had Jack right after, like,
yeah.
we have to meet, and he wasn't wrong. We
had to.
because he had stuff wrecked in the press, and we're like, oh, and there's a funny story attached to that.
Oh.
Because we went down the elevator, so we left the room,
Right.
we did the recording with Steve and Larry, and we picked up Richard on the way. We got on the elevator, we got down to the bottom, and Jack's like, we have to all go meet. So we stop, and Larry gets deluged with people. Right? So he's deluged with people right by the elevator. So we're like, we're going to head to the bar and we'll meet you there. So we went over to the bar, little, Ian and you and me, Kortnee, and then Jack, and we have a drink, and we eat food, and we discuss the thing we have to discuss, which you'll find out more about later, which is incredibly cool.
It's very cool.
Like an hour, because we had to get through all that stuff. And then we walked back over to the elevator, and Larry and Richard are still standing there in the crowd of people. And then we went upstairs to Hillbilly's party, and we had to have a business meeting with Hillbilly, and then hang out with some folks and talk and do our thing. It was like an hour and a half later, and we go back down the elevator to go find John Ringo on the Smoker's Porch or something, and they are still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I wanted to go to people and say, leave them alone. Just leave them alone. So and I said, Larry, are you still here? And he's like, yeah, I moved. So,
It's
oh,
Yeah.
Nancy, you think we're organized? You're hilarious. We're so organized. Ah,
We're trying.
we're working very hard to be organized.
yeah.
Out of self-preservation, because the number of things that were
That we're tossed at us this weekend.
is there. It's amazing. We have so much fun stuff coming up.
We have 8. Okay, so we ended the weekend with 42 anthology suggestions, just but in writing 8 really stellar ones that are just knock your socks off, amazing.
Yes, our next mission is to get them scheduled into.
And we're about there.
And we're
Yeah.
wondering, no, we're not sure what it is. It could be the little laptop and the Wi-Fi are not talking to one another real well. But we're aware of the buffering. The playback should be fine, but in the meantime, we're going to have to just
That's where we're
carry
at.
on with what we're doing.
But the point is, too, is that we do try to be organized and we try to keep track of the information, which seems to be my job.
Yeah, and we throw it all at you so you can collate
Well,
it
yeah.
together. And,
Yeah.
But it was fun that we found out what our convention roles are.
yes.
We did. Because Rita's job is to run around and be charming and guilt people into giving us stories. Which she was fabulous at. And everybody goes to Ian for the, we'll start with guys and talk about, we should do business together. And then Kortnee got all the writers. Like, at Hillbilly's party, that was fun.
That was I had so much fun at Hillbilly's party. The one party I did too, it's mostly because he pulled me in by my arm.
After we had a meeting.
Right.
Because it's so good.
It's Hillbilly. Well, it was
It's 3 rated press is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
Who I just look over here in the press. They're awesome.
Hillbilly's awesome.
Yes. He pulled me in, and I'm like hiding over by the meat tasting because I'm just handing them my glass every now and then. Here, refill. I'm doing little tiny bits at a time. I talked to Ray while I was there. His goal is to write 10,000 words a month. I'm like, that's great.
That's a terrific
Totally
goal.
do that. That's a great goal.
Yeah.
I teased him a little bit about it, but that was just because I like Ray.
Right, yeah. Maybe he's right or he's not going to feel comfortable.
Exactly. And I was one of the girls who her first novel came out, and she's in an anthology. And she was talking to one of the people about one of our ideas that we've got coming out that we haven't announced yet, but she was in. She knows the person who pitched it to us, and she's like, I would love to hear about this. Can my fiance write one too? And I'm like, yeah. Talk to me because it's music based. I'm like, okay, talk to me about your music. What do you do?
Yeah.
And he's apparently a fighter pilot.
Oh,
And he got all sorts of shit from Billy, which is great. I just got to watch the back and forth. I'm like, hey, tell me your story. Like, what do you want to write? What do you want to do? Because he's there as basically author support for her, but he's like, he could totally do this.
I think that's our special thing is we're like, you do this.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Postcards does. And that's the feedback that I was getting with Postcards is people were sending me stories and going, I can do 50 words. Yes. And now we've done this. I'm like, you have done it.
Oh, yes.
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 She was like, it's her first
talked her
submission.
into
I'm like,
it.
really?
We talked her into it about this.
Yeah.
So
And that was so awesome.
she was at the banquet. So.
One thing I talked to Danielle about at the banquet was the great editors of the Golden Age, like John Campbell, who basically built the Golden Age and built the authors and helped them get better. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. I think that's what I ended up doing at the con was talking to authors and helping them get better. That next step, that next little bump. I'm not telling you no to be mean to you. I'm telling you no to get better.
Yes. And then it ended up that I was the one who was doing the background mechanics. I was writing to the press run. And so people were asking me, saying, if we do an anthology, how does this work and how do you pay? And I would be like, share. Like, here's my publishing account. Everybody, you don't get paid up front. Everybody gets equal percentage. We're all pulling all the same skin in the game. They're like, is that current? I said, this morning. And, oh, look, this is like my expected royalties, not counting Kindle Unlimited, but we get that every 2 months, so that gets added to it. So that's even more money. They're like, wait, what? I said, I just showed you Raconteur Press's books.
Yeah.
They're wide open. I do not believe how many people were so startled by that. And so I felt really good about that because it was because one of the major problems in science fiction and with book publishing in general that's been going on for the entire time I've been involved is I remember Jerry Brunel becoming editor. Had to sit and going to these books and saying, show us your books and going after them because it's labyrinthian and almost Rico quality level of.
There's no transparency.
There's no transparency
It is
at
so
all.
opaque that
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know that there's malice involved. Or it's just
I think
so
it's just
arcane and
it's arcane.
convoluted
It's arcane and
that
convoluted.
nobody knows. And that's what PubShare does for us, though, is it allows us to have this transparency to our authors
Yeah.
that is equal to, if not even greater than, what we get on our own KDP
Yeah.
dashboards with our self-published stuff. So
Yeah.
we are our publishers, as Courtney and I do the indie publishing. We don't publish our own things, but also have now with the anthologies, we can give this to our authors so that they're published through Raconteur, but they still have that access.
Well, I think it's also creating a new expectation. In publishing, and in the publishing community, it's creating a new expectation that authors have a right to have. You know, they have a right to clear and honest monetary issues.
Yeah.
They have a right to that. And I will tell you, honest men do not fear contracts.
No.
They were like, what does your contract look like? I whipped it up and like, it's 2 pages for you.
Yes.
They're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Try to make that as short and simple as we could. So, question about postcards. Postcard images, I will assign an image to someone that I know based on me knowing them. I will occasionally give them an image that I think suits them in some way.
sometimes we just torture people.
Well, yes. Wally Walter.
Which Wally found. We're like, oh, you get this
That
one.
one's in postcard.
And then
by the
totally
way.
rose to the occasion.
Oh yeah, I know. So,
That's lovely.
but the other thing is that what we have started doing, because when we first started doing this, we had no idea what kind of demand. So I was literally generating them on demand.
Yeah,
for
not
people.
anymore.
Now
Not
we
anymore.
have a very large pool of images that I create.
She built the pool ahead of time.
And what I did for Libertycon with the images is I generated them based on photos that I've taken at Libertycon, themes of Libertycon, names and or characteristics of authors. And I have to tell you that putting John Reno into Midjourney and pressing go led to some absolutely insane results that you would not know unless you saw the metadata of the
Yeah,
image,
it's like,
but that's where
wow.
that came from.
Yeah, our pool was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I used some of the images for the Libertycon postcards are Uncle Timmy. They're Tim
Yeah.
Mildale generated as an avatar of Liberty
Yeah.
because I wanted to do that for LibertyCon, and there was a number of Lady Liberty avatars that I generated that were like science fiction kind of or fantasy, but still
That pool
Lady
was
Liberty.
gorgeous. There were so
Oh,
many
yeah, no,
cool things in there.
I had a lot of fun because I knew this was coming, so I was like a couple of months. Well, it wasn't that far ahead. A month
They
ahead.
were about a month ahead.
I
yeah.
started generating things that were related to LibertyCon. But when people ask me, they come to me and they're like, so does the story have to have a certain theme? And I'm like, no, whatever the image gives you, because it's too restrictive.
Yeah, it's
So,
supposed to inspire you to something.
yeah.
Something immediate.
I mean,
So-
what I used as inspiration to create the images is going to be totally different from what the author uses to make the stories. It is just
Yeah, so that theme is running all through.
Nancy. I have no idea how that happened, and
I need to go look at that one, Nancy, because I was in the SCA meetings in your neighborhood, so it's like I know who he's talking about. That's what you're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, no, and you're right. They're leading the charge because I was talking to Jack about this in one of our meetings. Is that we have all these new tools. I mean, we have all the brilliance of Kortnee and knowledge of. No, seriously. I mean, the whole conversation you had on the Writer Dojo about using K-lytics and things, which we won't tell you about because you can do it here, is that there are all these new tools to reimagine how to approach publishing. Yeah. And somehow we sort of, the gang of us, fell into that. And it is making a difference because it's creating a little pressure on other publishers to look at new and different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And some of them are excited about it. Like,
Yeah, Seattle area, Nancy spent a lot of time up there in the 80s in the SCA, so I may know this person. I've been around a long time, and we know all the same people.
Well, and okay, so Jonna being around for a long time actually plays into what you were just talking about too, which is the fact that with Raconteur Press, we are tapping into a well of knowledge and experience that is deeper than just any one of us could bring to the table. I've been involved in indie publishing since roughly 2010, but I haven't been a scholar of it the way Kortnee has. And Jonna's been involved in science fiction and fantasy publishing for
I've been
a long time.
Well, I was doing. I did.
You were on the.
Well, before Pulp House happened, I worked for a company called Foundation Press, and we taught Pulp House with Pete Leslie Smith, Kristen Catherine. We taught them how to do pulps. They used our bindery.
Yeah.
Which was one of the first independent presses with Starmount with Julian May's husband. Julian May is an author that's disappeared that people need to remember more. She was amazing. But we were doing all of that way back right after I divorced my first husband. I was 28 years old.
So what we're doing with Raconteur Press is we're taking all of this and we're looking at things that we don't want to do in publishing. The reason that I was always indie and vehemently indie because I needed that control over my own product and my own work. We're looking at things that we're like, okay, we don't want our authors to have to deal with that total loss of control. We don't want them to have their work go into this opaque mess and they don't know what's going on.
and we don't want them to just say, okay, here it is, and walk away, because we want them to have some buy-in into it.
Yeah.
Which is why I also love the profit share that we do with PubShare.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I have so appreciated about all of this is that for a very long time I felt like I was fumbling around in the dark, which is why I studied so much of what I did, because it's like, okay, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? What can I use here? Because I need to know the way forward. I need to know what the ground is like. I'm asking people who are ahead of me what I'm doing next, and I need to know what's behind me, like what other people have done, because there is no point in reinventing the wheel.
No.
But if you know what people have done before, and you know where you kind of want to go, and what the tools are to get there, that gives you so many more options. So being able to pull on, Jonna saying, "Oh yeah, no, this one, this person did this that they talked about." Then I'm like, great, I have a place to go.
Yeah.
Because I came into sci-fi sideways.
Yeah, you did.
And I've missed a lot of the foundation and the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm catching up, and talking to you and Ben and people who have that foundation, and don't just have that foundation, but have the level of detail and intimate knowledge of that foundation.
We know where the bodies are buried.
Because people say, well, go look at this, go look at this. Like, great, that's a list of stories. That's wonderful. I need the stories behind stories.
Yeah.
I need to know the brains there. I need to know what they're,
There's
so I
also
can understand.
there are trends that happen, and at being present when they start.
Yes.
As like you were at that Worldcon in that party when those two people had that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, and you stuff like that happens pretty fun all the time.
Yeah.
Well, there's one of the bigger sci-fi romance writers, started a series specifically because I said I could not stand a trope that she used in she used the 30 books of like, I love everything. Once you get past like the first 4 chapters, but I cannot stand the trope that you start with. I told her that specifically to her face at a party.
Yeah.
And she launched a new series that did not have it in it, and she wrote it specifically for me, and I love that.
Yeah, and that happens constantly.
Because when you are with creative minds, you start striking sparks.
Oh yeah.
And it's steel on steel, and you get those sparks, and sometimes those sparks ignite.
It's an entire fireworks show.
Oh yes.
Goodness.
It's boggling how much happens there.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's after action report. Everyone's talking about how exhausted they are because it's like concentrated, creative community going to town because they know they're safe.
Yeah.
You know that anything is possible there.
But the State of Self-Publishing panel, I saw the surprise on Sam's face just before everybody in the room asked for a business card.
Sam
Robb.
Sam Robb.
I said, yeah, write short stories. Learn how to write, because you'll learn how to write characters. You'll learn how to write. You'll learn how to storytell, and you can do it quickly. So I'm talking about Ray Bradbury's 52, the Story Every Week challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll learn how to write quickly, and you'll learn how to do it well. And I said, and if you need prompts, if you need somewhere to submit them to, check out Sam Robb's
Team and
More website.
Yeah.
He has another bad anthologies. Everyone's like, wait, what?
What?
And so he handed out business cards. I said, by the way, this is Sam. We love him. We're keeping him.
He's ours.
He's ours.
We found him first. He's ours. No one takes his trouble. He belongs to us.
So and what Sam is doing is fantastic because he's curating these lists of open markets.
Yes.
And he also includes a little information about them, so you know if this is a contest where you have to pay a fee, which each their own. But I wouldn't do that. But the great thing about short stories, yeah, exactly. You can make your own choices on that, and it gives you the ability to make your own choices before you send something in, and suddenly they're like, "Oh yeah, you have to pay $30 to submit your story."
Right? No, and the answer would be no.
Well, but some of the contests have it.
Right. I know.
So, but the thing is that it used to be there was, gosh darn it, I don't remember what I think it was Duotrope. To be the whole thing. There was a list of open markets, and now the submission grinder still exists. But the thing about those markets is that they're very, very diffuse.
Yeah.
So you're looking at markets that are everywhere from horror to children's market, and the payer scales are all over the map. And you look at those, I at least will lock up and just be like, no, back away. So Sam's stuff is much more targeted to the genres that I write in, so science fiction and fantasy, and I think he's got other stuff in there too. But so it's really easy to access that.
Matt was telling us that. Thank you, Matt, because I tangentially knew about Alpha Merck's writing group.
Okay. Yeah, they just started that.
Yeah, and so he's one of the things I love about Sam. And a lot of our authors, because it's just wonderful, is because it's a very service. How can we all improve? How can we do more? How can we do more? What can we do to help this person do that? I mean, and to me, I think that's the best approach.
Yeah.
And can we about David Bach and his
table
at
David Bach.
Oh my
I wasn't there, but I saw the picture.
Yes.
I know David doesn't have a novel out yet.
No.
He has a full table.
His table is full of everything
anthologies because the man is a machine.
He's a machine. But the best part, and the best too, is all of you guys, Matt, gang, we're all stopping by David's table, and and helping each other out, and stopping in and talking and doing stuff. I mean, I love this sense of community of we're all in this together.
Well, and the thing is that for every book that David is selling off his table, it's promoting all
every
other
author in there. Yep.
And
I think it was funny every time one of them would walk by, he's like, sign.
Yeah. And I have to say, because when you were making announcements about Sanford, the whole thing there, you were saying buy Pinot Noir, and I think based on the sales spike, Every
Wow.
author in pinup noir owes me a drink.
You're not kidding. The sales spike on Pinot Noir was astounding.
So I really appreciate
it
the
was
support.
astounding.
It just meant a
It
lot.
just so
Yeah.
great.
But that's the thing, is that as one of us that's involved in the anthologies as an author, as one of us is doing well, we're bringing all these others with us. And it's like,
Rising
look,
tide.
here's our
Yeah.
friends.
Rising tide lifts
Yes.
all boats.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, did it? So that's the first big convention the Racketeer Press has been to with all you guys. Whereas we had so many authors there. It was the coolest thing ever. But to see, I mean, I ran out of troublemaker tags Friday. They were gone. But what was cool is people were like, oh, you're troublemakers. Who are you? Which one are you?
Uh-huh.
What's your name? You know, and that was just like, and they, as I told people, go around and introduce, see a tag, introduce yourself, talk to them. So people were coming by David Black's table, and he was like, which one are you? Oh, you're in this book. Sign all these.
It was so great.
Sidebar, and I forgot to mention this earlier. I'm going to say it now so I can remember it. But
Okay.
I think with the next postcard challenge, instead of having them ping us like randomly, because I think just having them requesting an image via email.
It's going to have to happen that way.
So much easier. So much
Because-
easier.
Well, not only that, that allows us to track names. You said names, and I'm like, oh, right, because I have people asking that they have Discord handles, and then they send in a story, and I'm like,
Who are you?
I don't know who this is,
Yeah.
or what picture I gave them.
And so many of the authors came by and introduced themselves. I was so glad. And I will be perfectly honest. There are at least 3 or 4 of you who I remember your name, but not your face, because it was just at that time of day where I'm like, I have no idea who anybody is. Matt, I remember you. I remember meeting you, and I had a moment where I'm like, I will not know you in a crowded room.
We chucked a duck at him.
We did chuck a duck at him, and I do remember. And I remember that, and I was like,
You know, I really
Right.
felt like we are very much the little upstart scrappy press, because you know, all the other presses are doing this big layout of other books, and they've got these big shows and things, and you know, and we show up with a line of ducks.
to prove that we had all of our ducks in a row. We
We
didn't do a PowerPoint
no
presentation.
PowerPoint.
We didn't do.
We had Pinot Noir there. We were hungover. And it was mostly like, oh, look, this is the entire staff in Cedars at home, you know?
And eventually we'll have like displays with covers on them.
We will. I think we should continue to do the lineup of ducks and
Oh
huck
no,
them
we should
people asking
totally,
questions.
we should totally huck a duck.
Okay, so here's the hilarious part. Richard Hopkins, bless you. Everybody who walked in the room, we gave an award recipient badge tag to, because they showed up, they get an award.
Including Chris Kennedy, who came in to get some
Chris
water.
Kennedy came in, and so did Brian Williamson, and he hunched him down and shoved him back.
Richard, you were amazing.
You were the
Thank
best.
you.
Absolutely the best.
Oh,
It was
Richard,
so
that
cool.
is awesome.
It was awesome. And he very diligently made sure everybody had one. And it was like, rock. Totally rock. And the fact that he gave one to Chris Kennedy was just,
It killed me.
it just totally slayed me. He was like, what? We give our people awards.
We do. Everybody who writes with us gets an award.
So it was great. But yeah, I mean, we went into Sunday afternoon, and then I fortunately had to be kind of rude to people because everyone wanted to go dinner on Sunday evening. But we had one last meeting we had to get done. So I had to tell people, I'm really sorry, I can't. Plus, I was like, people, oh my God. But we had one last meeting that was really important that we had to get done that has 2 anthologies attached to it that are so cool. So I had to go do that. And then I came home and it's like, yeah, that's what, okay, so David, that is a metaphor for our life with Ian. That is completely a metaphor for our life with Ian.
Yes.
That's what he does. We get our ducks in a row and he comes up and goes, what? And we're like, ah!
That's part of what makes repertoire plus fun.
Well, and I think part of it too is I don't ever want us to be formal.
No.
I don't know if we could.
I don't know
I
that
don't
we could
think
manage it.
I don't think we're capable of
We are not constitutionally capable of formality.
But when I attach formal, people think I'm scary. And I'm not a scary person.
I'm
So
sorry.
She says she handles her murder needle here fondly.
started hugging people like the Thursday on Friday.
We got there Thursday.
I got there Thursday.
In Blurs.
So
I got there
people.
after me.
I did.
Because I got there at like 9:30 at night. I could not get across the lobby to registration.
I think I was.
Because everybody was stopping me. It was only like 20 feet.
I wandered into the not a bar place with all the. I wanted to pick the scotch on
Oh,
the.
Nathan's place.
Yes, and I walked into this. I saw Hillbilly. I got a hug from Hillbilly. Oh, I got a hug from Megan. And Chris was like, "What? I don't get a hug first? You were talking." Christmas was in there, and I'm like, "Okay." So I got a and then Hillbilly got a hug from me and Megan. He got the. He forgave me later, though.
We've decided
It
that
was
Chris
just.
and Ian are like orange cats. They share one brain cell.
They do between the two of them, and every now.
So is Chris gonna write for us?
He already sent me a stripper glitter story.
Oh, awesome! Awesome!
Yes.
And we've decided that we need a stripper glitter anthology because Ian has one too.
Oh God, the illustration for the cover. Oh God.
It's okay, dear. It's okay. But we think maybe stripper glitter anthology for next Libertycon. Because I know Kelly has one too.
Mm-hmm.
He has a story about stripper glitter.
And something makes me think that more people have one.
I think Barbara has one too.
Oh yeah, there's okay. So I think most of the military guys have stripper glitter stories.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll do that for next year.
Yeah, but we have, like I said, we have 6 major anthologies coming that are just insanely wonderful. But we won't talk about those yet. We'll just tease you with it.
Yes. So they're on the
Ultimately,
table.
though, I think this Libertycon was an exercise in discovering how Libertycon is always great about community, right?
Mm-hmm.
It always feels like community. But it was really lovely to have our community, our
Yes.
Texas Troublemakers, Raconteur Press, really embrace that whole idea of, we're in the bar, we're having fun, we support each other. Skits manifest so clearly in all the action of all this gang that we just met online
Yeah.
and who didn't really know in person.
And we
Was-
couldn't have done everything we did without all of our authors there.
No way at all. No way at all that we could have accomplished a third of what we did.
And we can't do what we do with authors.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
and that's the thing is that we have some really fantastic authors, and we need more.
Oh my God, we need more.
We need more authors.
So if you guys know somebody that thinks that they have a book inside them, get them in our direction.
Yeah.
Because before a book, it's a whole lot easier to deliver a short story.
And you know what? To me, it's the highest honor for somebody to take their creative endeavor and
trust
it
with
with us.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know what that feels like. I mean, I spent years taking my babies and putting them on the stage and having
Yeah.
to stand there and wait for somebody to hit me. I know how hard that is. And the fact that so many of you have been so willing to share that with us.
Right.
We're
And for those of you that aren't authors, that don't want to write fiction, we have something else to ask of you, which is if you're like, oh, I'm just a reader. No, readers are a vital part of this, but the other thing you need reviews.
Yeah.
reviews.
Because here's the thing. If we give books or incentives out in exchange for reviews, you are legally required to disclose this in your review. And if you don't, it gets you in trouble, but also us in trouble. So
Yeah.
please don't. If we've ever
Right.
given you anything and asked for a review, you have to put that in the review,
Right.
which is all good and well. But then the thing is, and we probably will get to a point where we're doing some e-arcs for reviewers.
Well,
Tangent
okay.
Online
Tangent Online, which is one of the
And,
longest standing review.
and Upstream Reviews wants us as well.
Yeah, it's Dave Truesdale specifically
Right,
asked
right.
for our books.
Yeah.
And not just because we've been friends forever, but because he said you guys are doing
Yeah.
really interesting things. So,
Right. So,
Yeah.
but we also need a cadre of just people who like to read.
Yeah.
And if you like what you're seeing from us, my thing has always been, how do you tip your authors? Tip your waitress. If you like the service, how do you tip your author? Leave them a review.
Well, if you don't make the anthology that you applied for,
Right.
you can read it.
No.
Well, no, but you can read it.
We have
Okay.
anthology authors posting reviews, which is like, I love your enthusiasm, guys. Amazon may eventually take over to that and take those down.
But if you're part of 2 but not part of 1, you can review 1.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And but that's the thing is that we have to figure out how to. We don't necessarily want to incentivize reviews, but we want to be like, hey, if you read this, could you please go a step further and leave us a review?
Something we realized too is that we had all but you sitting there, and I pointed out to the people in the audience, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the entirety of Record Your Press.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person who works there, except for Cedar, who's there in spirit with the pin-up on our cover, that's all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just our workload is going to this coming year. We have a lot of really cool stuff up. 2 anthologies a month.
Yeah.
For the entire year.
Yeah.
Coming up. Yeah. So and along with that thing called life.
I'm sorry for that.
I'm going to run away to San Francisco for 6-8 weeks.
Right.
And we're going to be.
You're going to take your computer so you can tell us what to do.
I'm going to take my computer. I can bag you from a distance.
Because I was working in Washington. You were in Italy.
I was in Italy. We were truly an international publishing company.
We really were.
Yeah.
So but my kid who was running. If you guys saw it, some of you met him at Libertycon and didn't know it. Like if I want to see my kids, they show up at cons now. and and Logan was at Libertycon.
Yeah.
And apparently made quite the impression on a couple people.
He's an impressive young man.
He's an impressive young man.
Yes. Weirdly, at times, the adults in the room, which is
Yeah.
kind of like, considering the adults in the room, it's like, okay. So,
and he'll be very excited when he's 21 that he can actually do a whole bunch of stuff on his own and doesn't need mom along.
yeah, so Rick, there's, weirdly enough, the context you're talking about is something we can't talk about right now, but there's some interesting things coming down the pipe in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
We have a lot of people coming to us looking specifically for fair treatment because of interactions with other people who were not as professional as they could have been.
yeah.
And there's
In
a
there.
long history, unfortunately, and that's why it took us a while to get to this inflection point, because we had to build the trust and show that we could deliver on what we were saying we were going to do.
We've been very honest about we made a mistake.
Because unfortunately, there's a long history of small presses. I mean,
We'll keep trying to recreate the wheel.
the whole thing of people actually being concerned about me at Libertycon kind of blew me away, because I published on my blog a thing about a small press misbehaving years ago, and darn near got myself permanently uninvited from Libertycon because of that, and because I wouldn't take down, because it was true, and I was just reporting what was said on a panel.
Yeah.
And because I'm that stubborn, and because I've always been adamantly indie and vehemently protective of indie, so yeah, it's one of those things of what we're doing is different.
Yeah, we both came at it from a very
You both did. You both
Very-
had the same
from a very
attitude, different
particular-
perspectives.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I will not mistreat an author.
Mhm.
Full stop, end of story. I don't care how old they are, which is why we have Remy.
Yeah.
And
Wait, well, we have Ruby, but also, I mean, Pinup Noir. I have one share in Pinup Noir. I did the cover and I did the story, but I have one share.
Yes.
Because that is the way we want to do this, is we don't want to have too much going back out to the publisher. We share the growing pains with the authors.
Well, it's astonishing to me. It was really fun when we were explaining that in the Rare JoJo. So watching 2 accountants go, what? It was simple. And every time I showed somebody the pub show, I was like, we're all in it together at the same level.
We're
You know,
taking the same risks as our authors are.
Yeah.
And for me as a cover designer and an author and part, I mean, what I am, for me, I
a
am
multi-talented,
investing.
amazing woman.
I am investing in the future.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not just my future, and that's why I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
we are modeling a different way to do things, and we're doing it with enthusiasm and having fun. And I think we're doing it in because we have we have a lot of friends between us and individually that have gotten burned hard by traditional publishing, by other small press. My first, intern for a small press that was trying to redo traditional publishing. She wanted to do it differently, but she wanted to do traditional publishing. And I'm like, we can do this differently. It doesn't have to be like this. So I think showing that not only can we do it differently, but that we're not making our money off the backs of our authors.
Yes.
We're making it off our genuine effort into the whole project.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we understand why a lot of book presses stop paying after 1 year on an anthology, but because of PubShare, we don't have to.
You don't have to.
So we have these anthologies that are going to be, the rights revert after a year to the authors so that they can collect them and put them out themselves if they want to have 5 or 6 or 8 things and put them out like that.
Yeah.
The anthologies will always be for sale because it might be a little tiny trickle, but you get enough little tiny trickles together and suddenly you've got a stream of income, and that's the whole point of it.
It's like these are all feeder streams.
You get enough little tiny trickles together and suddenly you've got a stream of income, and that's the whole point of it.
These are all feeder streams. These are all feeder streams to the river and income.
Right.
So, and so I continue. A year ago, we were not in this position at Libertycon.
No.
We had a year, we proved ourselves, and when we walked in the door, it was exhausting, terrifying, oh my God, and wow.
Yeah.
To walk into the community of our peers and have them tell us everything we were doing was right.
Yeah.
So that, especially with people who know, who really know this business, to have them do that was incredibly validating.
We walked into a group of our peers and were greeted as peers.
Yeah.
Not the redheaded stepchild, not the
No.
little sister coming up, but all right, you know something we don't.
Yeah.
You're doing something that we want to be part of.
Yeah.
And that was,
And we were having fun.
and we had fun. We had a lot of fun.
Because people even having fun.
We do believe in having fun.
So,
That's-
folks, if you've listened to us for all of this, next week we won't be live. It'll be a pre-recorded. Feel free to, in the comments, ask us for topics that you'd like to see us discuss. We might not stay on. We have our jar
that we can pull
but
some out of.
it's been so long that I would see us discuss. We might
We
not
have our
stay
jar.
on topic. We have
We
our
have a
jar.
jar that we can pull some
But
out of.
it's been so long that
been
I would
so
like
long
to
since we've
refresh
been
that.
We should add things to the
New things like to hear about
We
from
might
us.
miss things.
So let's see
I
what
would like
folks want.
At some
and-
point to have a discussion about community and why it matters.
Well, we still need to have the discussion about Crohn's.
Oh, that's right, Crohn's. Because wow, I sure felt like one.
Oh, it's not quite what I meant, but
Well, no, but I mean, in terms of what my task was. My task this last week
was very matriarchal.
was very matriarchal, starting with the hospital.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and there were several moments over the hospital stuff and being the central information and going to and being the white-haired woman who said, "Pull up your socks, get your books, and go out." It was like, I mean, I spent a lot of time in what I consider my version of a crone role, but I would like to have a discussion.
And that's another one that we should have a conversation about too, is just talking about the lessons that I learned through this whole crisis, and some very good stuff and some very pertinent stuff. And if you're watching now and you haven't seen the Substack that I wrote called Buckle Up Buttercup, go read it. You have homework.
I have homework.
You have homework. We can sit down and talk about that because I have forms and stuff that I can show you.
Yeah.
So post the link to PubShare.
I'm just going to see the book sale.
Okay.
Okay.
If you are involved in a PubShare project already, I can certainly put you in the direction of how to see that. If not, PM
It's
one
under
of
book
us.
reports.
Yes, it's under book
It's
reports.
under book reports.
If you're not already in, DA Brock is not David Bach. If you're not already in a PubShare project, PM one of us and we'll screenshots. We're transparent, but there's a level of financial transparency on the internet that gets dangerous. So
yeah,
I want to make sure that we don't get that level of out there.
there's
So,
a book sales report that you can attach. You can go to book sales report. You can do it by all books or a single book,
Right.
and you can get your date range,
Mhm.
and then because I was showing people this, and it tells you how many books were sold,
Yeah.
estimated income, and estimated royalties from
If
them.
I can figure out how to sanitize some screenshots,
Yeah,
then I think I'll share them on a Mad Genius
I think we
post.
should do that. Yeah.
So,
It's a really big
okay,
thing.
he's in Falcons and Malta.
Oh, great. Okay, so yeah,
I
we
should know
we'll
that.
just be able to pull that right up in the show.
Right, yeah, we'll be able to walk you
But
through
go to
that.
Falcons and there'll be a link that says book sales report. It's over in your bookshelf.
Yep.
And then you can go see.
Yeah, I think I'll see if I can sanitize and do a Mad Genius post on this, because I think that a lot of people don't fully grasp what PubShare can do for them. So
Yeah, I check mine every single day.
I do not, but I don't check my KDP dashboard every week even anymore.
Well,
So
part
but
of
when
it
I
too-
started, yes, I get where you're at. So enthusiasm is good.
Part of it for me too is tracking how we're doing on the current projects
Mhm.
and what our spikes are, and do we need to push this one a little bit more?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'm trying to stay on top of that.
And-
And I'll tell you, Nora, gangbusters.
Oh, yeah. No, the project has great legs.
yeah, it does. Great legs. honey. So
People were very excited by the cover. They're like, damn.
yeah.
It's one of those things of, yes, I'm using AI, but I'm editing it and I'm being very selective. There's a lot more to cover art and design than we have time for me to get enthusiastic about right now. So I'll sit back and shut up.
That's it. But no, you can actually have I do check my PubShare reports because I'm tracking where sales are and stuff. But I was just pulling up my information because I do make a little bit of money off these books. And going in people's faces, they were like, oh. So
And I pull up mine because I have stuff that's visible on my end that's not visible for everybody
yeah,
else.
because she's
Yeah.
the editor, so you won't be seeing hers. But mine, and I can show you what you will get from us by
Yeah, if Jonna shows you what she's got, that's what you will see when you're part of a
Yeah.
project.
yeah. So which was
Yeah, and-
boggling people. So
And that's
yeah.
part of what I meant by sanitizing.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not just my financial stuff; it's other people's
yeah, so we
financial
can't actually.
stuff. So
You know, we
we
can do a mythical book title. And,
yeah, I might do something like that, or one of mine that's just like,
yeah.
a small
So
project.
we're actually over.
So yes, we are, but that's okay.
I know because we're just forever. So
It's a minute, yeah.
it's, but
Oh.
so and we should probably just do a site walkthrough. There's so much we need to do, and part of our problem is there's 5 of us. You know, there's 5 of us. Oh yay! Thank you. I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah.
So
And we have people who have offered to help, and part of our process this year is figuring out where to plug them in to let people help.
we have
Yes.
we have to refine our processes enough that we can figure out where we can start people to begin to understand them.
Yeah.
And because we're still figuring that out ourselves.
I think the best place we've gotten to people help where it's been we could have walked away from all of our tables was the author tables in Office last year.
Yeah, because that was just the actual in-person on-site help was the most important thing. It was the most important thing. So
Including Sherry, who brought
Sherry Lines, bless her, she kept wandering by and putting a nut-free protein bar under my nose. Otherwise, and I would be like, "Thank you," you know. I would not have survived without her doing that. I would not. So.
and there was more than one person who grabbed me by the arm and says, "I'm going to dinner. You're coming with me." And I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Jack literally took me and Larry, took us by the arm and forced marched us to the bar and made us eat for different reasons, but similar.
Yes,
But you
Similar need.
Yeah,
this is
You know.
Jack. Jack is a bit maternal, which I really appreciate about him.
I love Jack. He's awesome.
He's awesome with awesome sauce.
All right, guys, we should wrap it up.
Because we have stuff to do, and I'm going to go home and fall down. So
I needed home.
I got 1 o'clock this morning.
I abandoned my husband with a teenage boy.
Well, it's only 105 outside.
Oh, it's come down. It was 112 when I got here.
So we can
Yeah.
dash from air conditioning to air conditioning.
Air conditioning, that works for me.
Okay.
I'm looking for. That's all right.
Thank you so much again for hanging out with us.
We'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you.
We won't be live next week.
We
but
won't
we'll
be live next week.
We won't be live. We will have a video next week. We will
Hopefully
be
there
in the
won't
chat.
be buffering because we won't be live.
Be live. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Bye.